Hey everyone, Dale Moreau here, bringing you tips and tricks for making network marketing work for you. And today we're going to talk about telephone skills tips. Now, have you ever wanted to know about the telephone skills tips and tricks that you can use for recruiting with network marketing that can actually earn you money and make it fun? Well, there are different approaches for recruiting with network marketing. Now, some people like party planning and other people use referrals, and still others like home meetings. And then there are those who do hotel meetings or email marketing. And all those skills have value and ought to be learned. But one of the greatest skills tips to learn and master is how to use the telephone and what to say. Now, many new distributors are phonophobic. That is, they are afraid of the phone. And other new reps are taught all the wrong things by their upline to do and say over the telephone. Well, this article hopes to set the record straight with telephone skills training to help you to recruit more new distributors and make more money while having fun and doing it over the phone. So learning about telephone skills for recruiting with network marketing is actually a three-step phone call approach. The first phone call is to build curiosity and overcome sales resistance. The second phone call is to create desire by telling about your story and giving a short presentation about your opportunity. And the third phone call is to answer any questions about the presentation and close the prospects. So, the first phone call. Now, here is what we need to understand. We need to understand that if we do not get the curiosity on that first phone call from our prospects, we will lose them. You will lose them for good. So let's say I have a list of people with phone numbers and who are interested in network marketing. I call Jim on the list. And with the prospect telephone etiquette skills that of introduction and for why I'm calling, I say this. Hello, Jim. My name is Dale. I'm from Kerrville, Texas. I got your name off of a list of people who like home-based businesses. And I just want to introduce myself and give a little bit about why I'm calling. And I'm going to make this first call pretty quick because I do have several other calls in the next 60 minutes. So, Jim, are you open to a home business? And Jim will say, yes, I'm interested. And so then I would ask, well, most people, do they like to sell or do they hate to sell? Well, what is Jim going to say? They will say most likely they hate to sell. I hate to sell. Then I say, I think it's important to be able to have the skills for building an organization, don't you? And Jim will always say, well, yeah. And I then say, I also think that one of the things is if we had a way of doing this where people would only have to follow instructions instead of selling, that would be easier, wouldn't it? And again, Jim will say, yeah. I then follow Jim's answer with a story about how to follow instructions and what it does to help a person with earning money. And here's the story I throw out. Think, for example, about the guy who works at a burger joint. And the boss says to him, I'm going to give you minimum wage, and all you have to do is take these French fries, that is, these frozen French fries, and put them in grease. And when the bell rings, take them out and put them over here. And if you can do that, I'm going to give you minimum wage. And the young man or the young girl says, hey, I can do that. So all of us can follow instructions, and all of us don't like change. So if we can do that, it's a lot easier than trying to teach somebody how to sell. Wouldn't you agree? Jim will say yes. Then I then go into just a little bit of conversation about how they're doing, a little bit maybe about family, and I just give them a little bit, and then I say goodbye and hang up. And I let them know before I hang up that I am going to call them within 24 hours. So 24 hours passes and I make that second phone call. Now here's the amazing thing. Most people, because of the curiosity that I built with the first phone call, actually call me back. I never make that second phone call. But if I have to make that second phone call, what I'm going to do, it is this part that I want to create desire. Now, people will not do this business unless they see themselves actually doing it. And when a person gets up there and talks about how a nice car that he bought or the big house that he bought with network marketing and how he has made $100,000 in his first year, well, I have news for you. Most people cannot see themselves doing that. They just can't relate. Now think about it. A guy who makes a minimum wage working at a burger joint, just as the example we had, and here's that, he's cynically saying to himself, gee, I can make $100,000 a year and own that new car and buy that new home. This business is perfect for me. Now, they usually cannot see themselves doing that. So how do we get over the hump of making it believable for the prospect? Well, we create desire by telling our story. We talk about who we are as a person. And when we talk about our story, we talk in three parts. We talk about our childhood, our teen years, and our adult years. So here's how I start out. You know, Jim, when I was a child, I was unsure about myself. I was shy around other children my age. I was in the first grade, and it really didn't fit in with other kids who were rich around me because basically I wasn't rich. I wasn't poor either, but at the same time, when making comparison with those other folks, I just didn't fit in. During my teen years, I was skinny and fast. My speed with running, track, and tennis helped me out from being an introverted person to being outgoing. However, I was still unsure about myself. Now, I made okay grades, but still, I just did not fit in. And when I reached my adult years around 20, I noticed that I had gained a great deal of debt. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do to pay my rent and so forth. And again, I was unsure about myself in the direction I wanted to go for helping me to get rid of debt. Well, making a long story short, I went from being a minister to being a medical coder and finding nothing from both to actually help me get out of debt. In fact, it made it worse. My job as a medical coder turned out to be a nightmare with more debts and problems than I could shake a stick at. Well, in 2008, I began looking for a way out of an uncomfortable and unbearable job with medical coding from a horrible boss. And I began looking at two ways of making money like the big boys. What I found was either one, inheritance, or two, to earn it over a long period of time. And basically, Jim, they just weren't satisfactory to me. One, my parents weren't rich, and so I wasn't going to inherit anything. And two, I would work 45 years and will earn half of what I make full-time upon retirement. So I began looking for something else to help me retire in one half the time with more money than it took my mom and dad to make even after they retired in 45 years that they worked. Well, I discovered a way of retiring in 5 years by recommending things which I liked at 4 times more pay than my old job with medical coding. In fact, I learned the inside secret of owning my own business and doing it part-time without interfering with my current job and without the 9 to 5 work hours, and have a lot of fun doing it. Well, now, somebody might say when you tell that story, wow, that guy is just like me. Maybe there's hope for me. And what you have done in telling that story is to build curiosity. So after I say that, and after we kind of talk a little bit, then what's next? Well, I present the opportunity to the prospect, and I say, the name of the company is Fusion with an X. In fact, most people join Fusion because they like the residual income for life that they receive from it. Well, the cost is $1,000 plus shipping and tax, which is around $2.85 a day, the price of a good cup of coffee when you think about it. Some people don't join because they don't understand it, or times being what they are, they just can't afford the $1,000. What I want to do is lay out the basic facts. If you agree, that's fine, and we'll get started. If you don't agree, that's okay too. Is that fair enough? Well, after that, I'm going to say this. What I want to do is carve out time for you to see a 11-minute video about Fusion. The video explains in less than 11 minutes with what would take me normally 30 minutes to explain. I will call you a few minutes before the time that we agree upon and then send out a video link. Is that fair enough? Well, I set up the time for my prospect to see the video. So now comes the final phone call, the third phone call. So with the first phone call, we create curiosity and overcome sales resistance. The second phone call, we build desire and give our presentation. And the third phone call, we are answering questions and closing the prospect. Now, I make that third phone call 24 hours after I make the second one. And the first thing that I ask them is, what best from that video did you like the most about what you saw and heard? And whatever positive thing that they say about the video, I agree with them. I then immediately jump to the next statement. It sounds to me like you're ready to join. And then I shut up. No matter how long the silence on the other end of the phone may be, I don't say a word. I wait for their response. If they resist, I am prepared with answering questions and objections with my story. Now, what telephone skills that we need to make this successful? All we need to do is create curiosity, build up desire, and answer questions. It's that simple, folks, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, if you got value from it, please leave a comment on Facebook. And most importantly, there is a form that all you have to do is put your email address in, and you can subscribe to my blog and receive weekly updates at least 4 times a week. For every time I write an article, you'll receive it automatically via email. And you'll find that form on the sidebar at the bottom of the article. And I hope to see you all on the better side of success.